Hi there, Sherry.
Hello, how are you?
I am fine. I'm Christine, by the way.
Hello, let's see. Oh, okay. Just making sure I do Teams at work, so I don't usually do Zoom
Okay.
at work. So I'm like, oh, where's all the things? I got it.
The new skills we're gathering, huh? Hi, Lydia.
Hi there.
Hello.
Hi. Christine, you can rename yourself to be Christine.
Yeah,
rather than
I'll go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Lovely Zoom.
So Lydia, I did some research on different apps and ways to do maps, and I did a sample map using Google, which is probably what we want to do heading. So I don't know if we want to get into the weeds today, but we'll see. But anyway, I also heard from Rick Francolini, I know his wife from Nauset Neighbors, and he got a community preservation grant for 4 really nice hydration stations in Orleans.
Great.
But he said that he's on to other things now, so he doesn't really know of anybody that we could contact in Orleans about participating. But he said to keep him posted on what we're doing, so I will do that.
Great.
But he got a grant for like $46,000 from community preservation.
It's impressive.
Yeah. I downloaded a copy of his application. It was extensive, but it's a bigger town, so I guess they have more funds than Wellfleet does.
And they have such great systems, the water and now the sewer going in.
Right. Yeah, and apparently the someone at the water department had, assisted with getting estimates and stuff.
I know, didn't Provincetown also pay for yours, Sherry, with community preservation funds?
Pay for what?
Your water stations?
Our water stations is paid through our Renewable and Recyclable Energy Committee budget.
Oh.
We have a budget. Which one of you ladies has been talking to Sue Roderick from Truro?
I have. I sent her, I think it was in 2009, I sent her a write-up about how we got funding and stuff. And then the other day there was an email from her out of the blue without any connection, and she just asked for more information. So I'm not sure. I haven't responded yet, but.
Yeah, she called me out of the blue. I mean, she's my doctor too, so it was kind of weird.
Okay.
And it was like right around the day I was going to get my shot. And I'm like, oh, maybe I get to go early for my vaccination. Anyway, the long and the short, she asked a bunch of questions, and I did send her a bunch of information that I had regarding the filling stations and stuff that I had. But she said she was speaking to somebody in Wellfleet, and I had given her your name, I think, Lydia, but I wasn't sure if she had actually reached out to somebody or what she was doing.
Yeah, she'd sent an email a while back in 2019. And then when I got the email, I was like, where did this come from? But
yeah.
I'll respond to her.
Good.
So Gary, did you know your email is hacked?
Yes, I've been working on it all morning. Thank you. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
That's okay. It happens.
Thanks for recognizing it was a hack and not doing anything about it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's pretty clear when someone asks for cash.
Pretty clear, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry again. I really apologize for that.
No problem.
Okay. How's everyone doing? Everyone okay? Yeah?
Yeah. How about you?
We muddling through as we approach spring here?
Yeah.
It's been lovely.
Lovely day today. Yeah.
Sure.
I should probably find the copy of the agenda.
I have another question for Provincetown for Sherry. Sherry, are any of your interior water stations in service right now?
yes, but not to the public.
Okay.
There's one in this building that I work in, so we use it. There's one in town hall downstairs, so they're using that. Whoever's working, I don't know who's in down there.
Mhm.
We have one in a public bathroom, but that public bathroom hasn't been open in a year because of COVID. What else isn't in? No, the rest of them are outside.
Okay.
What
So,
are your plans for this year?
Our plans right now for everything that I deal with, which is water bottle, bathrooms, 4th of July,
Mhm.
trash, we are booking, planning, doing whatever as if business is normal. I've not
Okay.
been given any direction to anything other than business as usual.
Right. Okay.
So water bottle filling stations will be open. Bathrooms, public bathrooms are open. That kind of thing.
Mhm.
Great.
Well, I don't know if somebody sent me a copy of today's Herald article. I think it was today's Herald. At Truro, the Cape Cod is booked, and you can't get a room anywhere right now through till October. It's going to be slammed here, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm kind of
Sherry,
scared.
forgive me if I missed it. Gary Senical from Eastham. You have how many filling stations around the town so far?
Hold on. I just sent that to Sue. I'll tell you exactly how many I have. Because I have a list. I keep a running list. Because like I said, we have a budget. So we're very lucky. This was, I don't know if you guys can see that. My lighting might be crappy.
Yeah.
But that's the outside one that we have at the pier.
That's the one we have installed in Wellfleet. too.
Yep.
How's that been holding up with the salt air and such? Do you know?
We're on like year 3 or 4, and I haven't had any problem.
Great.
Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 9 currently out there deployed of
Wow.
different kinds and varieties, and
Right.
most of them are outside, but we have a few inside.
Hmm.
And we have I'm trying to get the tourism building an outside one before the end of the fiscal year. So we're working on that.
Awesome.
We have money.
Awesome.
So we have very, very little funding. So did the Recycling and Renewable Energy Committee request funding to do that, or?
When I became the liaison, going on maybe 5 years ago, maybe,
Mhm.
they had a small budget, like $3,000,
Mhm.
to do whatever they were doing. I don't even know.
Right.
Wasn't
Mhm.
part of it. And then they started with the cigarette butlers and then these water bottle filling stations. So
Uh-huh.
we created a plea, for lack of a better word, to
Mhm.
give us $7,000 more a year to bring our budget up to 10 grand. So we could put in a water bottle filling station like every year.
Right.
And we also worked with the recreation department because
Mhm.
they had some put in their playgrounds and they had some money. So we helped them out. So we kind of took credit for one of theirs.
Mhm.
But yeah, the only thing is this past year, they took $1,000 out of our budget because of COVID. So
Right.
we're down to 9,000. So it
Mhm.
doesn't mean we still can't pull it off. We just maybe not be able to
Right.
do other things. That's
I
all.
see. Yeah.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
Definitely.
Amy, it says you're in the waiting room, so I'll admit you again, but that might mean you have 2 sessions open. I
see.
don't know. Maybe there's another Amy.
I think she has the sound might be separate from the computer.
Oh, can you hear us, Amy? Apparently not.
No, guess not.
Let me
Amy
check.
Wolf is connecting to audio. Okay, so we've got,
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm finally here, and
Oh, excellent.
sorry it took so long. My
That's
computer
okay.
was very slow.
So do you have audio separately? Then
Yeah,
you're,
the audio on the computer is lousy, so I use my
Okay.
phone.
I see.
And so if
Oh.
I disappear, know that I'm listening and present. I just have to get something like now when I'm going to get my notebook.
Right. So it's already 1:08, so I think we ought to get started.
yeah, we're late already.
Do introductions. I'm Christine Shreves, co-chair of Wellfleet Recycling Committee.
Lydia Vivante, co-chair Wellfleet Recycling Committee.
You
I'm
wanna
Gary
introduce-
Senical. I'm chairman of the Eastham Recycling Committee.
And Amy is,
I'm Amy Wolf. I am chairman of the Truro Recycling Committee that was pretty much dormant for the last year, but I'm bringing it back to life. So
yay.
looking forward to being inspired and working with y'all.
Okay,
I'm Sherry Prater. I'm the operations director for the town of Provincetown, and I'm just gonna sort of eavesdrop here, I guess, and see what goes on.
thank
I'm
you.
not sure if one of my members will sign on or not. There was 2 of them that were gonna attempt it, but I don't know.
Right, okay. Well, the idea is to try to work together on creating one of the goals was to create a way for visitors and residents to find where they can refill water bottles. And then also to help businesses in the transition away from plastic water bottles. Those are the 2 main things. And so I'm sure I think in all the towns except Truro, of course, you have to wait another year, I guess. The bottle ban is going
Try to
in.
excuse me, I'm especially here to try to begin getting people on board as much as I can prior to
Great.
regulation going through.
Uh-huh.
We don't have that many people, and nothing like a little peer pressure to get people going. So,
Right.
so excuse me for interrupting.
Not at all. Anyway, effectivity is September, but we thought we would try to get something done this year, just so that businesses know what's coming, and also to promote the refill stations that are already out there.
I think a good place to start would be to remind the businesses about the bylaws that are in place.
Yeah.
Right. The bylaw that when it's going into effect.
Mhm.
Yeah. So how did that happen last time, Lydia? Did you ask Hillary to write the letter, or she?
Hillary wrote the
businesses?
letter to businesses on her own that was about the polystyrene.
Right.
But I think what we can do is do a similar letter and have it go out through the principal clerk at the town to the licensed businesses,
Okay.
and also through the chamber.
Okay.
And just maybe a 1-page letter, so they're informed, and it could
Mhm.
include the bylaw on the other side, maybe, if it can fit.
Mhm.
Or this would all be through email anyway, I imagine.
I would hope so. So do you, are you up to drafting that based on what was done previously for
Sure.
polystyrene?
Yep.
That would
I'll
be
do that.
wonderful. I guess that's something that would have to be done by town, but we could certainly share Lydia's draft, who has the most experience with this kind of thing. What are your thoughts, Gary? Is there something like that in the works in Eastham, or?
Well, there's a couple of things I just want to open with, and that is, the bottle ban is passed, obviously, in all our towns. Well, except Amy. Amy, you're still waiting for the commercial ban. But, it's funny it depends on who you talk to, but we're into the implementation phase now. And there are some in my sphere that think that implementation simply means that it's up to the town to enforce it. Okay, the bottle ban is passed. Now it's up to the town to get over there and enforce it. Make sure that they're not selling plastic water bottles. Well, I don't think I'm speaking for myself here, but I think it goes further than that. I've got a great compassion for the business community in our town, Eastham, and I'm sure you guys do too, for your business community. And I think we should do everything else to ease this transition for them. It is a transition. They're giving up what some believe is a major price point for them. It's a major product for them. And sure, we can talk to them about substitution and so forth and so on. But I think even more importantly, I think, and what I'm trying to do in Eastham through the Eastham Chamber is work with the business community from the standpoint, or with the goal, I should say, of making them an ally instead of an enemy. You see our point of view as to why this ban was necessary. And secondly, even be perhaps an information point for consumers, their consumers, and also visitors that we're going to get in the summertime who are going to. What happened? Well, they're a great source of information. They can have that narrative with a customer and tell them why the ban was implemented and why you are no longer selling plastic water bottles. So they can be an information point. Now, I don't know how to do that in terms of helping them do that. Obviously, we can print literature collectively. We can print some literature or maybe a pamphlet or a threefold or something to hand out to customers just to educate them as to why we are doing this. It's all about sustain Wellfleet, sustain Eastham, sustain Truro, sustain P-Town. So it's part of reducing our carbon footprint. That's what we're trying to do here in some small way. But I think they could be a good point of information, an information distribution point to their customers and the visitors that visit their stores as customers during the summer. That's my thought on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd say we totally agree about both your approach and the idea of supporting them in the transition is how we look at it. And I know for polystyrene, Lydia and the recycling committee had a bunch of samples, and they had, was it at the library, Lydia?
Mhm.
They invited businesses just to come and peruse other options of products that were not polystyrene.
We invited local vendors in, so Cape Cod Paper was there, and also Dart and other companies that provide alternatives to polystyrene packaging or containers. So what they brought was all kinds of fiber-based paper boxes and cups, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I guess with the water, we're urging them to go to canned water and water in aluminum, and also maybe water that they can provide. Some places just provide free water, like a cool chilled water that they can refill. Brings people into the store. That's one positive. A lot of the plastic water bottles that are being sold now, depends on where you go, but I've seen them for as little as 25 cents at a place like BJ's.
Yeah.
And I think maybe too at some of the hardware stores, they're like, it's a 50 cents or $1 for, it's incredibly cheap. It's hard to, well, we're competing with that, but there does have to be this transition. It's what the voters voted for.
So, we can't do oh, sorry, Amy, go ahead.
I'm just curious how much the bottled water costs a business. The aluminum,
We bought for Oyster Fest in 2019, we bought a full pallet of the flat of that, what you were just holding up there. I think it was around $1, something like that.
wholesale.
It might have been less, a little less. I have that info that we can provide. And that's something we definitely wanted to work on, is to have samples that we could show or give samples for them to taste and have sample pricing. That would all, it's not sure how we would do that with COVID. If we would make personal visits or how we would do it.
Yeah, could drop off a kit, or have a talk or invite them to a Zoom meeting as well if they have time, that kind of thing.
Right.
But maybe just dropping off something with educational materials and a small sign that they could put up next to a display.
Hi, Ted. My colleague from
Hi there, Ted.
Provincetown just joined. Ted Jones just joined us from P-Town.
Okay.
You want to unmute Ted and introduce yourself?
I think you're muted, Ted. There you are.
He's looking for it.
We know that searching look.
Sometimes the space
Here
bar.
we are.
There you go.
I'm sorry I'm late, everybody. I thought the meeting started at 1:30.
No problem.
So then you're early.
Good to see you, Ted.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
And
Can you
Ted,
do Can you do a quick introduction, Ted?
yeah, that'd be great.
Um, let's see, what do I say? I've been living out here on the Cape about 20 years. I haven't done a whole lot of public volunteerism, but I did get involved in the plastic bottle initiative through Sustainable Practices. And that was successful in Provincetown. And so I'm batting 1,000, I guess, 100% on my efforts. And so my understanding is, and I'm here, I'm retired. I used to be in New York City. I was a magazine editor. And that's pretty much what I know. I live a quiet life out here on the
We all
Cape.
do.
So are you
Um,
part of the recycling committee or are you here as a private citizen?
I'm here as a private citizen. I have had 1 or 2 contacts with the recycling committee in Provincetown, and they weren't real fruitful adventures. They actually declined to support the plastic bottle initiative.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Well, all the congratulations on getting it done, and the letter to the editor that you wrote was excellent, in the Independent, I think. It was.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we worked hard on that. I was really pleased with the initiative that Sustainable Practices put forward. The people, especially Madhavi, was very knowledgeable about her information and about how she wanted to go about the public outreach.
Mhm.
And she kept us on our toes. Wouldn't you say, Gary?
I would say so, yeah. She
Yeah.
knew exactly what she wanted and how to get it.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So, and I don't know if everyone knows her or not, but she's a
yeah.
lovely lady.
I had originally reached out to her to see if there was any Cape-wide effort afoot, but she, I think, was involved with other things at the moment. So I figured we would just try to start something on the Outer Cape and then, make whatever we come up with available to the broader community of towns, which is 7 at this point, and hopefully more after town meetings. So Lydia, Ted, just to catch you up, Lydia suggested that one thing that we do first off is to send a letter or email to licensed businesses in each of our towns. And she's kindly offered to draft something. There was a similar thing done by our health agent when the polystyrene ban passed a few years ago, when Lydia was chair of the recycling committee. So she'll do a draft we can share and send that either to the chamber and to the clerk can send, email it to licensed businesses in town.
Perfect.
So basically letting them know when it's going into effect, why we did it, blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing we started talking about was just how we can approach businesses to educate them and support them in the transition. Lydia just suggested that maybe we could do some kind of a kit where we have like samples of a brand or 2 of aluminum water bottles, perhaps a sample reusable information about how they can, once we figure that out, how they can publicize their business as a business that will refill water bottles for people. For the 2019 4th of July road race, for the recreation, we worked with the recreation department and bought a 15 gallons, 15 liters stainless steel vat that was actually built, it's called a Fusti in Italy, and they dispense olive oil out of them. But it's double walled, it retains cold and, sorry about that. You know, they can have it out in their business and people could just open the tap and refill. That's an option, or any kind of a cooler, but not plastic is better. Anyway, so those are some ideas that we could put, and, you know, pictures or brochures, some pricing on bulk purchasing products, and provide those things to businesses. And maybe if we don't have samples, we could at least give information about what products are available.
Might we suggest also the metal aluminum
Mhm.
refillable bottles? I think that for the business community, I think it's a great branding opportunity for them as
Absolutely.
well.
Yep.
So I'd like to raise the awareness around that as well.
Yes. So we did some research for the COA. They were looking at providing those to the seniors that take exercise classes at the COA. They opted to go a different route, but anyway, so we have some research on options, and we also ordered the open water for Oyster Fest in large quantities. So trying to get bulk pricing from different distributors around the Cape, you know, would be great.
Yeah.
There was also for Oyster Fest, they used the pint cups, and it's something that the Ag Fair in Truro used as well, the
Mhm.
stainless steel cup. It doesn't have a lid. Although I think you can get a coffee lid to put on the top or some other
Mhm.
kind of cover. But those might be good to include those as an option for businesses.
And they even have those, I looked at the pricing on them. They're sort of things that you can fold flat and then they like hang around your neck so that you can just refill your little cup. But anyway, so that's, so letter was first, some kind of kit to businesses with all this kind of information in it.
And do
Anybody
we
have-
have bulk pricing, or is that something we need to?
It's easy to get. I have it from when we did it for Oyster Fest, that pricing, or rather when SPAT did it. And the rec department went in on that for the 4th of July race. So they had that pricing available. So that's easy to get. You had open water, is that what you have, Amy?
Yeah, I can't remember.
There's
It's
open
my
water and
thing
there's
from the
blue water
Oyster
and,
Fest, I know.
yeah.
Yeah, we've been dealing with them too also.
Mhm.
Open
A
water.
lot of stores carry it already. For instance, the Marketplace carries it
Do
already.
they really? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I think the East End Market has it as well, or I know they have some other options besides plastic
Right.
water.
And do we know, do they deliver independently, or is it something that you can get through a distributor that brings all sorts of other things?
Well, that's what we need to try to find out, reach out to the big, the most commonly used suppliers on the Cape.
Yeah.
And get some pricing from them.
And I'm happy to be in on that. I would
Okay.
just wanna, you know, if I can get up to speed with you, Christine, then I'm happy to make some of the calls or send
Sure.
emails, but I don't
Okay.
want to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah. So do you think we should go to the level of what we might want in this kit and what kind of research different people want to do?
I
Okay.
think that'd be smart.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So I guess the first thing you had mentioned, Gary and Lydia, is educational information.
Yes.
Um, in the form, what would really be nice, of course, would be if we had like one of those little small, like a little map you get, and it sort of and it's got information and a map of where public water is available on the Outer Cape. Maybe that's too much, but in any case.
We talked about the TAP app too, which is an app that maps the
Yeah,
the filling station around town. I think that's pretty ubiquitous
well,
in
the problem with
other
the
places.
Tap app is they took it off the App Store recently. So I communicated with
Oh.
the founder and he said that it's currently not available. They're working on some improvements. They don't have a timeline.
Oh, okay.
Which
Thank
was
you.
disappointing because they're great because you can just sit at your computer and add in locations.
That's super.
Another candidate is WeTap, which
WeTap,
is
huh?
from Los Angeles. I don't know if we want to get into, this is kind of a third thing is the apps,
Yeah.
but maybe we
They
can
come and go.
just wrap up with, so educational information was one thing and what else were we talking about?
Samples,
Samples, okay.
possibly a sample
sure.
decal. If we want to have a refill decal, if they want to
Okay,
actually become a business that offers water.
okay,
Information on bulk pricing.
okay,
We talked about aluminum refillable bottles that they can brand for their stores.
okay.
So we need pricing on that and the cups. I have a question. Have any of you considered a public-private partnership with refillable with water stations? I'm thinking about that because Truro is so tiny and our water availability is so difficult. You know, there isn't plumbing everywhere.
Right.
And I thought that Salty Market and Jams are both really great spots.
Mm-hmm.
And I was, I've been wanting to think if I can, maybe Sherry, you'd have some insight into this. Talk to Jared about, whether they'd consider, if the two stores would consider it, if the
Right.
town could go in on the cost of that, if the
Mhm.
store would allow access to their water. I think,
Yeah,
because especially bicycle coming up 6A, I mean, it would just be
that would be awesome.
great, but
Yeah.
I wondered if anyone had any experience with that.
I'm sorry, you guys will have to forgive me. I'm here by myself, so I'm doing the radio, the telephone, and listening to you guys.
Yeah, jack of all trades, Sherry. Jack of all trades.
Yeah. So, Amy, I was telling the Wellfleet ladies before you popped on that I got Sue Roderick has nabbed me recently about water bottle filling stations in Truro, and I've emailed her. She's she's the physician's assistant at Out of Cape Health. She lives up on Joseph's. I'm not sure what part she plays, but she kind of hunted me down and.
Oh, she's on the bikes. I got a contact. They are the bicycle and walking,
okay.
bike and walking trail committee. Okay, great.
Okay.
Yeah. So go
Anyhow,
ahead, Sherry. Thank
I
you.
did just email her some stuff like the name of like what units we've been using and what the price was and a couple of pictures and then like all the locations where we have ours. I never heard back from her. I assume she got it, but
Can you forward that same email to me?
I
And
can.
me too.
Maybe
I can put it in the chat.
I was gonna say if you put it in the chat, I can get it. If not, my email is right on the website. You just shoot me a quick email and I can scan it and send it to you.
Sounds
But just because I grew up in Truro, I live now in Eastham, so like I have lots of interest in all of this. My first thought was the community center, an outside unit like we have on the MPL downtown, which I'm happy to take pictures and send to you. That's a quick, easy one to put in that would get a boatload of use for your town.
Yeah, well, I was a bit shocked to hear that there is hydration station planned for the community center inside. So I've got to get back on the haranguing train to, gently work with Jared to, we need it that outside for sure.
And that would be, that's like almost 3 season. You don't have to shut that off until you're going to get frost. And the plumber does it. There's a town plumber, I'm assuming, per your bidding process like we have. And our town plumber has installed all of our units. He services all of our units. But like I said, that and the other one that came to mind, which I'm not sure if that would be a better spot or not, would be Snow's Field. I don't know if that little building has water or not. I can't remember. I haven't been up there in so long. But as a first one for Truro, if that's what you guys were trying to do, which is, it sounds like that's what she was saying. Outside behind at the community center, so it's near that playground, would by far be the best location for a starter for you guys. And just as a point of information, when you go to get one of these units, we have an outside unit that keeps track. It counts how many refills it does. So for me, when I went to our town meeting, or we go to the town manager, then we go to Board of Selectmen, then you go to FinCom to get more money in our budget. And then every year after, to keep our $10,000, I tell them, this is how many water bottles we saved this year, because we go around and we count. Every November 1st, we get the new count. You do the math. I know how many bottles got filled for that particular year, and how many that equals how many water bottles we've saved.
Oh,
So while that seems like nothing, but when you're trying to do the dog and pony show to your Board of Selectmen, especially
yeah.
in a
Absolutely.
position where you're looking for money, like I was looking to keep our money, they love that. Eat that up. I'm telling you now.
Everybody loves metrics.
Yeah. So there are outside units that don't keep track, like that one at the pier, which is that green one I kind of just showed you. But we do have one at the MPL, and then one in our public bathrooms, which is inside, but it's a public bathroom, so it gets a lot of use all summer. And one here, they all keep track. It keeps count. There's a counter. And you're going to pay, but you know, that's useful information for you to have in any of the towns if you're trying to sell it somewhere to get another one in another location.
Mhm.
That's my tidbit of advice for today.
Thank you so much, and I'll email you to get that email forwarded, and I'll make sure you get it too, Christine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to help. Like I said, this water bottle thing, we have like 3 or 4 different ones. I have a big dual one, like in our library. That was really expensive, but really nice. You know, they're not cheap, but they're saving thousands of plastic bottles a year.
absolutely.
Not in our trash or recycling. Like I have to pick that up too. I have the other side of that, where I'm picking up trash and recycling. Like, that saves me a boatload if they're not going there.
Right.
So happy to help. Happy to send you what I got.
Sherry, do you know, or can you find out who the manufacturer of those refilling stations are?
Oh yeah, I'll send you. I got bills that gives you the name, how much they cost. And you can, I'm assuming, go online, which I haven't done. You can look it up. I'm sure there's lots of different brands. I just actually got a catalog too. If you can see that.
Yeah.
Most
right.
dependable water. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
those are the nice ones. We couldn't afford those in Wellfleet. I love that.
These are the ones that our recreation department has in their Mata field and their playgrounds. They're like this, but they're blue. But yeah, I'll give you pictures of what I've got, and if I have to take a quick spin around to get some of the other pictures for you, like the one here in my building, I am so happy to do that.
Oh.
They're super. And like I said, it's all about being able to show it to people, to sell it. And if you can, like I said, keep track of how many water bottles you're saving in a year, they're going to want to know that. We're lucky
Absolutely.
we have budget money, so.
I have a question about the way that Provincetown communicates with businesses when there's an update on something or other, a new regulation. How do you best communicate with the businesses there?
The health department does that because they're the governing rules of that kind of stuff, plus my trash stuff. Sometimes they send out letters. They have a Facebook page that they are pretty active on. Our renewable or recycling and renewable energy group has a Facebook page. I have no part of it, but they do. DPW also has a Facebook page that I've put stuff on. But I think the health department as far as their part of licensing, gets updates of certain things like this polystyrene stuff and the straw ban and all those things. I think that stuff is handed out to businesses at licensing time,
Okay.
doing the licensing process through, which is licensing in the health department. I also assume that none of you guys probably have a code compliance officer, do you?
No.
Don't know.
Yeah, we do. We've had him for about a little more than a year. He's very busy, but these types of things are things he'll be, you know, following up on once this COVID stuff is behind us. And he's learning things because we have sewer things that have codes and trash things that have codes. So it's a learning process, but we do have a designated person now who you can say, hey, you know, whatever, insert restaurant in Wellfleet here, they're not following, and or you know, Cumberland's is selling water bottles or whatever the scenario.
Right.
They can go into the store, investigate, and then warn, fine, or whatever
Who
they.
is that, Sherry?
Aaron Hobart.
Okay.
Remember, he used to be the licensing agent.
Oh, yes.
He's changed over. He's now the code compliance officer, which has a lot of many pieces to it, I'm learning. But COVID has kind of put a slow learn on that position. But he's learning.
So that would be the person who'd be doing the enforcement on the bottle bill
Yep.
in town? Because supposedly the wording of our passage was that it was going to be the police chief.
You know how that really is going to go in real life, right?
Well, I suspect, I have a suspicion.
I'm being honest.
I know, I thought I would
In
meet
real
with
life,
him.
you know, that's not going to happen.
I'm not going to meet with him?
Well, you might. The police chief? Sure. We love Jim. You can go meet with him.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, the purpose of our code compliance officer is to go around, educate, and then warn, and then fine. I mean,
Okay.
I haven't used him for any of these sorts of things yet, but I've used him. Most of my life consists of trash. If there wasn't trash, I wouldn't have a job, I've decided. So there's a lot of trash regulations and a lot of trash things that we're always, you know, chasing down. So that's one of the things he's mostly done for me, some sewer stuff. But that's kind of, you know, that's
Well,
already.
I'll call him and check in with him. Okay.
You should find out what his scope of stuff is and ask him what his thoughts or plans are, especially once we all get vaccinated and people can get back to work.
I got my second one yesterday, actually.
I did the J&J, so I'm good. I'm one and done.
Congratulations.
Great.
Sherry,
Thank
I
you
should know
for
this,
all
but I
that.
don't. Is Provincetown single stream or dual stream waste?
We are single stream other than cardboard. We try to separate the cardboard at our transfer station so we can sell that. But we do single stream, which is much easier and nicer because remember, we do curbside.
And it also puts the emphasis on how important counters are that are going to be on the refillable stations, because they're going to want to know how many plastic bottles aren't going into waste anymore.
Correct.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I mean, in the grand scheme of like tonnage, as far as trash and recycling, it's this much, but it's important. And I think the numbers, like I said, I don't know any of your funding sources or any of those things. I should know Eastham's because I live there, but you always want to have that kind of information, especially if you're going to ask somebody for money. That's going to be the best way to do it, is quantify it, say this is what this is going to really do.
Yep.
I'll come up with the numbers and I'll tell you to the last few years as we kept adding machines,
That'd
how
be
much
great.
bottles
Oh,
we
that's
saved.
great.
I keep track of it year to year so I can tell them.
There's also the cost of picking up for your staff to pick up litter on the roadside and things. There's a cost to that as well.
Yeah.
And in Wellfleet, I know there's a group, Adopt a Highway groups, that pick up litter along the highways, and it might be good to get a statement from them too about the kind of things that they're having to pick up, you know, week after.
Actually, the highways,
I'm looking,
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead, Ted.
Well, I was just going to say, it looks like I just drove the length of Highway 6 from the bridge yesterday, and it looks like they're cleaning up. They've got the crews out. The work crews out picking up right now. It doesn't look nearly as bad as it did a month
Yeah.
ago. I don't know who organizes that actually.
I know my seasonal people will be starting towards the end of April, and once they start, Route 6 in Provincetown will get clean.
They do a fantastic job.
Yes,
They
they
do.
do.
And
They
I
really
see them
do.
all. I see them out there all the time.
Priceless.
And then it stops in Truro. I don't think Truro has people who clean up, but
Gary, I just wanted to mention that the counters take electricity. They're electronic. So that means you have to have,
Oh, I see.
so the ones that our DPW installed in some of the buildings for refill and water fountain, it's a bubbler refill. Those have counters. But the ones that we're installing outside are, it's just a push button knob. It's mechanical, not electronic.
Sure. Thanks for that, Christine.
Yeah. So getting back to, a kit for businesses. So we have educational information. I mean, we have a lot, and we do have someone on our committee, Chris Wazinski, who's a graphic designer and does web design and a lot of other things.
Yeah.
She said she would be willing to put something together if we, provide the data, and between all of the sustainable practices, materials, and other things. So we could ask her to see if she would be willing to do that. She also runs a business, so I'm not sure how available she is.
She did a nice decal for the straw ban.
Right. Yeah, and she said she'd be interested in doing the straw. Now, the thing about the decals, we could do something, the idea of that was that if a business signs up as a place that will refill, then they get a decal to put in their window and they're on an app. So that's like how TAP works. And that's also how WeTap works, I believe.
I think that's worth talking up. I think that's worth talking up, Christine, when
Yeah.
we're talking to the
Well,
business.
yeah, so WeTap has, it's a nonprofit. They're LA based, so it's all kind of LA oriented. And you can't, like the TAP app, you can just put in a location anywhere and sit in front of your computer. With WeTap, you have to actually be in the physical location. You can only add your current location, so it's a little different.
I see. Okay.
But, and there may be a cost to it, I'm not sure. So that's something that, once we get, well, we could go there now if you want to, since it keeps coming up.
Well, they can have a sticker even if they're not on the app. It can be a thing that when people walk in, they see,
True.
Yeah.
It could just
and then
be
it's great.
refill your water bottle here kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wonder, I don't know what, being from these different towns, is there a reason why we couldn't brand things Outer Cape instead of town by town and redoing it over and over again? I think it would be a good model for letting people know, see.
No, yeah, I think like a Cape wide thing would be awesome, because then potentially other towns could use it too. Just saying refill here.
Yeah.
All the apps have.
All of this stuff to have to put it forth as an Outer Cape effort to,
Mhm.
And of course Truro's lagging behind, but this will help
Yeah,
give the select board a little more peer pressure. They're talking like if we're going to do the commercial ban
good.
on the next warrant, but
Yeah. Well, as long as you get it on the warrant, that people are overwhelmingly in favor of this.
yeah. So, and and again, I'd be into, because there's so few businesses, I'd get started this year so that
Mhm.
everyone's prepared and maybe get, ahead of the game.
Right.
Absolutely.
One thing I wanted to add, Amy, is that we didn't do partnerships, but we did a gift fund drive with sponsorships. So two of the ones that we'll be installing hopefully this spring.
Oh,
One of were people that organizations like.
wait, say that again. You got all
Marina,
wobbly.
and the one at Town Hall is going to. Oh, sorry. There were two entities, one a business, one a nonprofit, that sponsored the
Uh-huh.
cost of the unit to install. So we kind of lowballed it to just the cost for those simple LK units that Sherry showed a picture of. And that's what we have across from Mayo Beach in Wellfleet. That was the first one that went in a couple of years ago. And the one for the marina is the same. It's been sitting in their garage for 2 years, waiting for them to install it.
Oh.
And then COVID happened. So now they're hopefully going to do it. And then, but anyway, so that's
And who
possibility.
were the funders?
Nauset Disposal has kind of a community, you know, they have a full-time person who does community outreach and
Oh, okay.
works with the community. And they, and then the other one was SPAT.
Okay.
Could share the letter, the sample letter that we sent out for that appeal.
That'd be
that
great.
fundraising appeal.
Yeah, when Lydia and I went to the town manager, he says, well, how about a gift fund rather than giving us some money? So that's what we did.
Well, there's plenty of money in this town.
So in terms of the apps, I can send to everyone the information that I currently have, and anyone that wants to do more research, that'd be great.
Okay.
Lydia,
That's
did you
not
hear
my
back from
area.
Bikes and Walkways about what bikers use to find water?
No, I haven't heard back from them
Okay.
yet.
What West Tisbury did is with Google Maps, you can just make your own little map. You can't navigate by it, but you can have it either online or print that shows locations. You can number them, say whatever you want. They're interactive if you're online. So I did one as a sample that I can send the URL so you can see what that's like. That's something really easy that we could do, and you could make copies of it. And it would be great if we could all use whatever we decide on so that we have one way to locate in our area.
Do the Outer Cape, have the whole Outer Cape be the
Mhm.
map.
Right.
What about trying to appeal to Google to put refill stations as an amenity on their maps? I wonder if they would do that.
I don't know.
Ah, great
I mean,
idea, though.
the apps they're all using, the Google toolkit, but it's a third party use. But that's certainly an option, I guess. But there'd have to be some kind of public directory of locations and information that they would be able to access, I guess.
Mhm.
Whereas these apps, it's crowdsourced. People can enter in where the locations are. Because there isn't any database of that information. But anyway, so I'll just send out what I have, and anybody that has other ideas
Yeah, that's great.
want to do some research.
So it seems like we have putting together a flyer as one task. Researching the sources for bottled water in cans and pricing it,
Mhm.
and looking into the refill stations seems to me would be another. And then maybe doing electronic stuff would be another, though that
Now, when
doesn't
you
seem.
say, oh, I'm sorry,
No, go
looking into the refill stations, how do you mean?
I just mean getting the information from Sherry. I mean, you all are already on that, but just sort of getting some information in common available to the hydration stations.
Okay.
And then, I mean, it seems like the kit is when you put it all together, then you'll have a kit,
Mhm.
So is there anything we're missing, and do we want to see where each of us best fits in terms of those tasks?
So we can ask Chris about, we have a meeting on Tuesday. We can ask her about the flyer and a decal, if she's up to doing that. As far as bulk pricing for substitute products, that's something that we would need to do, finding, researching branded refillables.
I'm willing to do that, you know, if I can get the you know, if you can send me your
Yeah.
materials from
Sure.
Oyster Fest, you know, and the contacts and all that, then that'd be a good
Yeah.
job for me. What about the writing of you know, would Christine be, I assume she'd be putting it together, but we'd need to give her the text for that, correct?
Yeah, well, what I started doing was just providing all of the source material that we had from, you know, getting the band through, from sustainable practices and from other stuff that we found online that we used.
Does she go ahead and?
Yeah,
Or-
she's a writer also.
Oh,
so,
perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what we might do? We might try and use some quotes from people like towns that have successful programs in place. For instance, on Martha's Vineyard or Nantucket. Wasn't it Nantucket that we heard from the person who runs the Stop and Shop there?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a quote from him would be good if you do it. And then there's also the town of Concord where we might be able to get a quote from some businesses there,
Right.
see how it's impacted them, or
Mhm.
and maybe even businesses that would be friendly, like that are maybe doing this already. It seems to me in Provincetown anyway that if you go to some of the smaller markets, they have a lot of different options
Mhm.
and they're not pushing the plastic water bottles as
Right.
much.
One of the taps, I think it was WeTap, had some entries on the Cape and in Plymouth and lots in Boston area. So that's one way we could reach out.
Mhm.
Is that something that anybody wants to do?
I can do that.
Okay.
Quotes. I think, yeah. Go ahead.
Christine, in bulk pricing, we're just talking about water cans. We're not looking at glass, are we?
Well, there is a brand called Voss, which isn't that much, VOS, and it's kind of a very nice reusable glass. I
Okay.
have some pictures and pricing on that.
So it'd be worth getting
Yeah,
some bulk
I think
pricing on that. Ross.
Yeah, I mean, particularly if people reuse it, because, I mean, there's no value in glass for recycling, it's just a cost,
Okay.
but aluminum's getting really expensive too, I don't know.
Yes, yeah, it has. It has.
And I heard that, well, Pepsi and Coke are kind of in the can because they had Aquafina, but apparently they're going in it in a different way. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but competition is coming for these little people.
Mhm.
There was that representative from the beverage industry, Christine, at that meeting, and he said that aluminum was going sky high because
Yeah.
there was a global demand for it. The
Right.
global demand for aluminum cans had gone up considerably,
Mhm.
and therefore the price of aluminum has
Right.
gone up considerably.
Snowy Owl Coffee Brewers are in Brewster. They're
Right. That may be one of the ones I saw. I
yeah,
can't remember.
coffee in cans,
Mhm.
cold brew, and the same with all the craft brewers. You know, they're all
Mhm.
using cans too rather than bottles.
Right. Let me
What's
just
left?
see. So on the agenda, we had apps and maps, business outreach, print and online materials, samples of alternative products and bulk pricing, branded refillable samples and bulk pricing, other ideas, letter to town businesses, priorities for 2021.
Mhm.
So it looks like we're, informational letter to businesses and chambers, and then, some kind of a publicity or outreach kit for businesses. And then figuring out either an app or at the very least, we could start with the map. So that's easy. the Google map. Is there anything else that people would like to discuss?
When are we
Was
gonna meet
some,
again?
excuse me, was somebody assigned getting bulk pricing on aluminum cans and you
No,
were
I'm
gonna do
gonna
it,
do
Amy? Okay, Amy.
Well, there's two different ways. One of them is to talk to the companies that stores order their stuff from,
Okay.
local distributors. And then the other one is, looking at, essentially, if you're looking at bulk pricing, you're probably looking at online pricing. So I guess one of them is, local distributors, another one is online, but I would think local distributors is what stores,
Yeah,
they don't want to order online. So maybe that's what you were doing too. So, but you could break it up with products and the type of products you're looking at.
yeah.
This is a little bit off topic, but I phoned the Cape Cod airfield the other day to find out how much it would cost to get an airplane to fly across the Cape with a banner message.
Ah,
And it's just so you know, it's $800 plus $100 for the banner to do a flight on a Saturday or Sunday in the summer.
Really?
What are you thinking the banner might say?
What would it say?
Well, we couldn't use this motto or whatever because it's already used by Five Gyres, but theirs is more ocean, less plastic. So something a bit like that, but not that because that's their own statement or logo, whatever.
Great idea.
Christine, it seemed like, Gary, are you working on bulk pricing on other things? Is that what this little bit of a confusion is about?
I think I'm confused too, because I was gonna, you're doing the bulk pricing on water, right, Amy? Yeah?
I said I would. I mean, if someone else is already doing it, that's something that.
Well,
willing to do.
we talked about we talked about replacement products, and then we talked about branded stainless
right,
steel and aluminum. Yeah.
Branded metal bottles, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could break it up that way if you want
Sure. Sure.
Do you want to work on some of that, Gary? Is that what you're
Sure.
saying?
I can work on either one, either the bulk water can pricing or the metal bottles.
How about
Reusable.
why don't you do the reusable branded stuff, and I'll
Okay, all right.
learning about the local distributors and all that.
Okay.
So I did a survey of Oyster Fest vendors. So I have the names of all the distributors that they use. So I can send that to, of course, those are restaurants primarily, but might be similar.
Right.
Yeah, but I could,
In terms of who they use?
Yeah. the
I
names
see.
of the big, the most common, like Cisco, and there's
Oh, great, yeah.
like a dozen of them that
Mhm.
that companies out here that service the Outer Cape.
Great.
I'm sure that other people, particularly if they're in the business community, know them
Mhm.
too. But I'll send
I
out
can
that. to both
contact
of you.
Ellery at Salty Market and take
Mhm.
it from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably the best way to approach it, is to talk to a local business and
Mhm.
see who they use.
Does anyone have to do any research or pricing on the refillable stations? Or is that pretty much done internally in each town? And
Well,
Yeah.
Sherry's gonna send us what she sent to the Truro Bike and
Right,
Walking Committee, blah, blah. It sounds like Wellfleet's done quite a bit of this already.
they have. They have.
So
Yeah.
we can share out whatever that is with everyone here.
Right.
Yeah, I can send you the write-up I did for Sue Roderick,
Oh, cool.
just on how we approached it.
You want to
And
put stuff
product.
in Google, sorry. Do you want to put stuff in Google Drive? That way we can all access it maybe. These files.
I could do that. I don't think there's too much But if there's enough to do it that way, we could start emailing, and if we have too much stuff, but then we'd need a Google Drive that we could all access if other people are putting things up. Like we use our Wellfleet Recycling Committee Google account, but
Hmm.
of course we could share the whole drive. We could create a directory and share the directory, and everybody could put their stuff there.
That'd be
Is that what
good.
you're thinking?
Mhm.
I'm kind of an idiot about this stuff, so I'll need a little hand holding and direction.
Okay,
Yeah.
we can start with just emailing, and I can put everything that people are emailing around on our Google Drive and sharing it. So that means you just have a URL, you go there and you find everything.
Okay.
And we- and
Like
we can-
an excellent start.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you all for joining in.
Thanks for
Should we-
having us.
When should we get together again? In a month or in 3 weeks or
I don't know.
Maybe,
just email and see when it's time or?
how about try and do it within 2 to 3 weeks, and then that way,
We stay on top of it. Yeah.
yeah.
I'd say 3 weeks because next week I might have jury duty.
Mhm.
Oh,
Ooh,
lucky you. Oh,
I actually like jury duty, but we'll see what happens. I just think next week's going to be a little. This week is gone for me. I'm emptying out a house, doing get everything reused, recycled, everything.
Ah.
And the next week I've got that going on. So
All right, I have to run to another meeting, but one of you is going to email me, or I think I probably have Lydia's or Christine's email anyway, but if you email me a little bit later, I will put a bunch of stuff together and shoot it out to you all.
excellent. Thank you so
As
much.
far as
Sherry.
water bottle stuff, you can always invite me to the next meeting if you think I would serve a purpose, but in the meanwhile, thank you for letting me join today.
Thank you for joining us. It's very
yeah,
helpful.
thanks for coming here, Cher.
Yeah.
All right, good to see you, Ted. Bye, folks, thanks.
Bye-bye.
thank you. So what
The
day of the week?
21st, it'll be the 21st of April.
Okay,
That's
Same
3
time?
weeks that's 3 weeks from today.
okay. Same time?
Sure.
So, I mean, does anyone have thoughts about a timeline? I mean, obviously this isn't going to get to stores for this year's ordering. It may even be too late now to,
I don't know.
yeah.
Right, though.
Guess we'll just do it at the rate we do it.
Well,
since
don't
we're
they order
regulars.
regular, don't they get regular deliveries? I mean, it could be something that they can add into
Yeah.
their, I think everyone appreciates the heads up in advance so they can psychologically prepare
Right.
themselves.
Maybe we need a kind of, and maybe Ted would have some ideas about this for marketing, like a refill day or something like that on Cape Cod, or some kind of a community-wide thing that everyone does on this certain day that we can advertise at select board meetings and through the chamber or whatever.
Sure.
We
It's,
could also,
it's refill week, or I don't know, something like that.
Mhm.
let's talk about that next time, as well as what we could have, something that might be in common at all the farmers markets as they open up.
Mhm. Yeah, that would be nice, actually, a good idea.
Okay.
Because
They're
that's a
friendly.
regular way to access people. And, it doesn't, we don't have to be there the first day. It just,
Mhm.
Right.
whenever we have it together well,
Mhm.
then we can try to make that happen. It could even, I bet it could even be, if we're concise enough with it, it could be part of the manager's setup. Rather than someone having to be there every time, and then occasionally we could do that. We could, I don't know, maybe each of our towns would, when we figure out what the best way to do it is, would sponsor a few cases of the water, or, something like that.
Mhm.
And if we're all doing it, then people go to different markets and, oh yeah,
Mhm.
I think that's part of what gets,
Sure. Good thinking.
fragmented in the Outer Cape is
Yeah.
when everyone's doing it the same thing, but slightly differently. So it
Right.
doesn't quite appear that it's a uniform
Mhm.
thing. I think it
Mhm.
would, I mean, that's what that We Care Cape thing with the
Right.
silly cartoon characters.
Mhm.
You know, it's a great idea.
Mhm.
But so anyway, but I think that, so those would be good things to think about next
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, absolutely.
An
Sounds great.
event and a way to have a regular but non-labor intensive presence at the farmers.
Mhm.
Mhm. Good.
Sounds
So
good.
Amy,
Great
Amy, you
idea.
think you'll be out of court by the 21st?
I don't know. It depends on how juicy a case I get to sit in.
If it's a homicide, it could go a few weeks.
I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
April
thanks.
21st. So is that a Wednesday also?
That is also a Wednesday, yes.
So we'll stick with this time.
Sure, sure.
And
Okay.
who
If
hosted
it's this
this?
time of the day, yeah. So we'll keep it at 1 o'clock? Good
Yeah.
deal.
That sounds good.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we can, well, please, we have a standing Zoom. We use, the town has one that.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
so this-
Fantastic.
And it's, unfortunately, it's recorded and posted, but that's life.
Oh.
Well, the way it is, yeah.
Hi, everybody, Wellfleet.
Or
We're
the
your,
Well.
we're your friends and neighbors.
You can see how many joined us
But if,
today.
we-
from the
you know, if we
public.
want to take turns with different towns, that's fine with me too.
We can do that, yeah.
Town uses GoToMeeting, which is a whole other animal. I don't really.
Oh,
Oh, really? Go to meeting, huh?
interesting.
Yeah.
Well,
Sure,
thank you
like
very
we
much.
did
Thank you,
that.
Ted and Gary for.
Ted,
and
thanks for
Amy.
coming, Ted.
Yes.
Thanks.
See you
Sure.
next time.
Bye-bye.
Cheerio.
Oh,
Bye,
I hope
guys.
I can come next week. I think I have a dental appointment in the end for the Wellfleet meeting, so
Oh, okay.
I may just have to call in and listen.
All righty. You can
All
always
right.
see it online. Can watch it online.